So all in all, this is a pretty important vehicle. Art and Carol Melees of Carmichael, California are on the road year-round with Workin' Woody, helping out the world of outlaws.
And a neat piece it is. We're getting ready for a restart. Now, the big break came to the number 2 car, that black 2, Andy Hillenberg. Remember, he faltered on the start, but because the lap was not completed, he goes back to the front again. Let's see if his car is working better now.
Not only is it working better, Brock, it's not smoking anymore. And I don't know how it healed itself, but it apparently has. And Hillenberg settles into the number 2 spot, just behind the leader, 17E Chris Each.
That'll be interesting. As we said, Hillenberg has run here before, as he is challenged now by Bobby Davis Jr. running a high side. So there is Hillenberg. Right behind him, the red 6 is Bobby Davis Jr. Behind him, in that black number 1, a brand new car, Sammy Swindell. There goes Davis. Davis moves by Hillenberg. And Swindell down low also gets by him. So now it's a race of the 2 Tennessee boys. And Bobby Davis Jr. gives way to Sammy Swindell down the front straightaway.
Swindell has been having a lot of little problems with that car the first few races of this season. Just minor things, but it's cost him a lot of victories. Boy, it is performing well. Well, it was performing well. He got very, very high there, Brock. Maybe just experimenting with the racetrack, trying to find some cushion.
Absolutely. I'm sure he's just checking it out. As we see in the pits, Jack Hodenschild, a very disappointed young man, as his crew works as we expected on that left front steering arm that was broken in that little tangle in turn 2.
Well, we still have Chris Each in the lead, but look at this, way up high. The white car of 6R, that is Mark Kinzer. He drove right around Bobby Davis Jr. in the 6 car for the 3rd spot. Boy, he found something out there and made it work high.
He sure did. And there goes Swindell by Chris East down the back straightaway to take the lead. So the black number 1, that new automobile of Sammy Swindell, now rides the number 1 spot. Right behind him, though, Chris East being challenged by Mark Kinzer. This groove is starting to widen out, Steve. We're starting to see guys riding a little bit higher in turn 3 and 4 at least.
Andy Hillenberg in the 2 car has slipped back to the 5th position. That's 1 away from transferring directly to the main. That is 57 Danny Smith just behind him, and 2T Ted Lee. That whole battle is for the 5th position. You're right, Brock. They're finding more racetrack now, and if you look at it, you can see why. The track is starting to hold some of that rubber, and some of that dry dirt is being replaced with rubber. They're going to get a little bit more traction.
And a little bit more racetrack to work with as we watch that race for 2nd place. Chris East down low, Mark Kinzer way up high in the marbles. Bobby Davis Jr. in that red 6 riding right behind Kinzer. What a race. East, though, down low. Mark Kinzer tucks in turns 1 and 2 as well, Steve. Davis down low, too. East able to hold on right now, while Mark Kinzer and Bobby Davis challenge. Davis low, Kinzer high. Davis off turn number 4 to take that 3rd spot. Almost tangled coming down the front straightaway.
Brock, I think they did rub tires just a little bit there. These guys, when it push comes to shove, the Outlaws do both. There's the race for 6th position. And it is the 2T car on the inside around Andy Hillenberg, pushing Hillenberg back into the 7th position. Let's remember he started on the outside of the front row.
But obvious mechanical problems as we watch that terrific race for 3rd between 2 of the best in the business, Bobby Davis Jr. in the red 6, Mark Kinzer, flashy as always, taking that high groove. Look at that Kinzer sail through turn 3 and 4. Gotta like it, huh?
And look at the drive down the front straightaway. He horsepowers right around Bobby Davis Jr. and then chucks in front and says, see ya.
Well, we'll see how long he does that, because Davis comes right back at him down the back straightaway and takes that low groove through 3 and 4. Mark Kinzer high one more time. He makes it work. Speed carries him off turn 4. Now he tucks low in 1 and 2. Davis, last lap. One more shot Bobby's got at Mark Kinzer. Let's see whether Mark comes down low and blocks him. Yes, he does. Stays low on the final lap. Bobby has not got a chance.
There is Sammy Swindell, the number 1 car. He wins it. 2nd place goes to Chris East, and it will be Mark Kinzer in 3rd. The final transfer spot to Bobby Davis Jr. But I'll tell you, even though Swindell went and did a great job, the man out of Bartlett, Tennessee, you got to give a lot of credit for the show there to Mark Kinzer. He was driving anywhere he saw damp dirt.
Tulsa Speedway, getting ready for heat number 3, which includes Jimmy Sills from California, the winner of last week's World of Outlaws show in Chico, California. And I'll tell you what, it had to have been warmer there than it is here. It's in the high 30s. The wind is whistling out of the west, and it is cold, flat cold. In fact, the only warm place in the joint is in the cockpit of one of these sprinters, where one of those 400-inch Chevrolet engines will help keep you a little bit warm. There are the results of heat number 2. Swindell, Eash, Kinzer, Davis. Those guys transfer to the feature. And now, let's go to Steve with the winner, Sammy Swindell.
Experience really pays off on a racetrack like this.
Yeah, but, you know, sometimes luck or having to start up front will make it easier. You know, you don't have to wear the tires out, or you can just run your own line. Everybody has to pass you, and, you know, when there's somebody in front, you know, they can, it's easy to hold a guy up.
See you later on. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, thanks.
Let's go to Brock Yates with 3rd place.
Well, here's the man that had the folks on their feet in that second heat. Mark, you picked the high groove and made it work pretty good.
Yeah, I seen they squirted a little water on the track, and me and Steve was sitting there, and Steve said, well, there might be a groove there for a couple laps, and the way the World Outlaws are, if you don't make it through your heat race and a possible chance at the dash, especially with the track the way it is today, of course, you guys can see it's dusty and a little hard to pass. The guys need to be in that dash in the first 3 rows of that feature. He's going to be scratching his head, I believe.
Well, we sure had fun watching him.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are ready for heat number 3, the World of Outlaws, Copenhagen's Gold National Point Series. And Brock, in typical outlaw style, don't be surprised if they start racing coming out of right here about turn number 3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're on it off turn number 4. Jimmy Bell in the 3BG car. That red one leads it off turn number 4, down into turn number 1. But Jimmy Sills, Steve Evans, in the 4A, he made a beautiful move at the start.
That's right. Let's remember, they invert the top 6 or the front 3 rows. So he is quicker than anybody that's currently up in front of him based on qualifying times. He's in 3rd right there. Watch that white number 4 car. He went real low in turn number 1 on that first lap. And again, he goes down low, but not big enough any ground that time.
No, the orange 44R, Robbie Stanley, sitting there in the number 2 spot. There is Sills in that white 4. It's still a wide open race. Nobody has really established much of a lead here. Jimmy Bell Jr. still holds on to it, but Sills, after a really good start, doesn't seem to be able to get much bite coming off at turn 2 there. Watch that.
Well, Sills better look out behind him, too, because there's another white car, and that is Joe Garrity, the 3G car, who's trying to go down low under Jimmy. Now, Jimmy slides up high, trying to do a Martin Kinzer, keeping that right rear tire just on that dark turn where he thinks there's some moisture. Terrific racing going on here in heat number 3.
Okay, Sills tries to set up Stanley. Can't quite do it, though. Stanley holding on to that second spot with real authority. Sills goes a little high off turn 4. Can he make it work? That's the Mark Kinzer line. High down on the outside, down into turn number 1, and on around Stanley to take over the second spot, but he gives way one more time. Now he's down low. Let's see if he can make it stick down into turn number 3. Yes. There he is. Jimmy Sills takes over the second spot after going high, then low. Beautiful move by Sills.
Now that has pushed Robbie Stanley, the 44R car, back in the 3rd spot. He doesn't want to give too many of those spots. And look at Garrity pushing and shoving, saying, hey, I want 3rd, because if I fall back any further, I'm not going to transfer. Joe Garrity all over Robbie Stanley.
Good race there. Notice, though, Steve, everybody except just a few guys that seem to be able to run that outside, Sills and Kinzer to be specific, are staying low. That still is basically a one-groove racetrack.
It certainly is up through turns 1 and 2.
There is Robbie Stanley trying to hold off Joe Garrity, that pretty orange number 44. And Garrity right behind him in that white automobile, down low. The number 3 car challenges, but Stanley has moved out a little bit after he got that little bunt in the tail by Garrity.
All right, now the 44 car Stanley, he was getting so much traction coming out of turn number 4 that he was picking up both the front wheels. Let's see if it does it again. Just dances him a bit. He had him a good 6 inches off the ground the lap before. He's settling it down pretty well.
That means the racetrack is getting some rubber on it, and they're going to get some more bite. Now let's see if the groove starts to work out. There is your leader, Jim Bell Jr. in that beautiful 3BG car, but right now Jimmy Sills is all over him, riding that high line that he used to pass into the second spot, and he does it again to take the lead.
Well, unlike Bobby Allen in an earlier heat who was willing to sit back in second, just transfer, not Jimmy Sills. He didn't come to Oklahoma to be second in anything. They are on the final lap, and now on on the final turn. Jimmy Sills, the 4A car, will come down and take the checkered flag. A terrific driving job and a great race there for the second position. 3BG Jim Belt managed to hold on to the second spot.
But only by just a little bit. So the Californian, Jimmy Sills, takes heat number 3 and automatically transfers to a pretty good starting position in the main event. Big relief for these guys when they don't have to run back into the consolation race. That's a real pain for the fast runners. All right, we're getting ready for heat number 4. That is Richard Summers working on his sprinter back in the pit area as they're making some final chassis adjustments to having learned, I would imagine, some things from watching these prior heats.
They're always tinkering with these cars. There you see Richard Summers, one of his crew people, tightening up the torsion bar, moving over 11X. Tommy Estes Jr., they're swarming all over that machine, just making any last-minute adjustments they feel are necessary. Jimmy Sills won it, the final transfer spot. The 4th position went to Joe Garrity. Brock is right now with the winner from California.
Okay, here's your winner, Jimmy Sills, and nipped him 2 laps from the end, I guess, Jim, and in a relatively hard race, I'd say.
Well, they watered the racetrack just before the heat race, and there was a little bit on the top there, and I could use it to carry more straightaway speed down the front straightaway, and it really helped me out.
Mark Kinzer seemed to do that in the second heat. He went up high, and it was working pretty good for him, and it looked like some of the other guys have started to use that top groove now, too.
Yeah, well, after they watered, I'm sure it won't stay around very long, but you know, when they water right before the race, you can use it for a little while anyway.
Took advantage of it. Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
To be a champion in this series, you better know a lot about water absorption. Heat number 4, they're bump starting them right now. We'll be back to Tulsa Speedway for the Tulsa Shootout.